Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Each year in this month of Thanksgiving, we pause on Veterans Day to thank those who gave selflessly to serve, protect, and defend our freedoms. For our veterans and active military personnel who serve in all corners of the globe, who sacrifice and miss holidays with loved ones, and when called upon, face elements of war, this day is to honor them. And perhaps this year, a year like none other in modern times, we understand just a little bit more what sacrifice means. Our military men and women who are called to serve our country deserve our thanks today and every day. On behalf of our green community, veterans, thank you for your service. Even though we are unable to get together this year, we are blessed to have one of our own join our celebration remotely. Green native, United States Air Force Colonel Christopher Workinger joins us from his home in Washington, D.C. Colonel Workinger, call sign Rawhide, was born and raised in Greene, Ohio, graduating from Greene High School in 1994. Colonel Workinger was commissioned in 1999 from the University of Akron's ROTC program after earning his bachelor degree in land surveying and mapping. Colonel Workinger is a career intelligence officer whose assignments included supporting unit-level flying operations and deployments including Operation Enduring Freedom in 2002 and Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2005. In his 20-year career in the United States Air Force, he has a long list of distinguished service positions, including an instructor and director of operations at the 19th Weapons Squadron at the United States Air Force Weapons School, military assistant to the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Prisoner of War Missing Personnel Affairs, Deputy Chief, 609th Air Operations Center in Qatar, Commander of the 24th Intelligence Squadron in Germany, and currently he works at the Pentagon as Deputy Director, Operations Support Division, and Deputy Director for Intelligence, National Military Command Center, Joint Staff. Colonel Workinger is married to Deborah, and together they have 2 daughters. Colonel Workinger's parents, Beverly and Leroy, still reside in Greene, as does his 2 sisters, Angie Garitano and Amanda Workinger. Thank you for your service, Colonel Workinger.
On November 11th, we celebrate Veterans Day and show our gratitude to our nation's veterans, the more than 17 million Americans who have answered our nation's call to serve in the military. I'm Colonel Chris Workinger, United States Air Force, born and raised in Greene, Ohio, and it's both an honor and a privilege to be sharing this Veterans Day message with you here today. The origins of Veterans Day started more than a century ago, and what we now refer to as World War I. The death and destruction of what was then known as the Great War, or the war to end all wars, was almost inconceivable. In total, 20 million were killed, another 20 million wounded, And it wasn't just the military who paid the price. Almost half of those killed, 10 million, were civilians. After 4 years of brutal conflict, there was a glimmer of hope for peace. And on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the guns fell silent for the first time in 4 years. Then known as Armistice Day, the 11th of November became a way for our nation to show its gratitude for those who served in Europe. 4.7 million American service members fought in World War I, and more than 116,500 Americans perished. Not to be confused with Memorial Day, where we remember those who died in our nation's war. Veterans Day is an opportunity to give thanks to all who have served our nation, 17.4 million Americans to be exact, for their military service to America. Every veteran has a story, and my story started in Greene. I was just the lucky redheaded kid who grew up with my two sisters on the pumpkin place on Greensburg Road. The red hair's gone, but the pumpkins are still there, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My mom was a second-generation school bus driver for Greene. My dad was a steel worker, a volunteer firefighter for Greene, a farmer, and a veteran. My sisters, one a Greene High School teacher, and the other in a successful restaurant business, still call Greene home. Like many veterans, serving in the military was a family tradition. My great-grandfather fought in World War I, and he was in Europe when the guns fell silent on Armistice Day in 1918. My grandfather and several of my great-uncles fought in World War II. My uncle served in the Navy, and my dad, a combat veteran in Vietnam and a Bronze Star recipient, served in the Army from 1968 through 1970. His example made me the man I am today, and he worked hard to instill in me and my two sisters the values consistent with someone who fought for our freedom. When I got to Greene High School in my freshman year in 1990, I joined the junior ROTC program. And after graduating in 1994, I joined the University of Akron's ROTC program, where I earned my commission as an officer in the United States Air Force in 1999. For 20 of the last 21 years, our nation has been at war against Islamist extremism in various forms. Now, as we transition toward a focus on great power competition versus nation-state threats, the call to serve in America's military is as relevant as ever. I joined our nation's military out of a sense of duty and in search of adventure, but today isn't about me. Veterans Day is about honoring all veterans who have served our great nation. Our World War I veterans are now gone, but the war to end all wars didn't end up being that at all. World War II proved to be even more devastating. But despite the risk, the threat from Germany and Japan was greater, and more than 16 million Americans served in World War II, with more than 400,000 making the ultimate sacrifice. Germany and Japan were defeated, and freedom prevailed, thanks to our brave veterans of the greatest generation. In 1950, the call came again with the threat of communism on the Korean Peninsula. There is no doubt that the nation of South Korea, today the 10th largest economy in the world, thrives because of the actions of 5.7 million veterans who served there. The threat of communism in Vietnam in the 1960s drove extensive military actions in Southeast Asia, and 2.7 million American men and women answered our nation's call, but at great cost, with more than 58,000 Americans killed. Since Vietnam, and based on the hard lessons learned there, our nation's military has grown to be the greatest the world has ever seen, and has prevailed in operations around the globe, from Panama to the Gulf, from Kosovo to the mountains of Afghanistan, to the deserts of Iraq, on land, on the sea, and in the air, in space, and now in cyberspace. Since the end of the draft in 1973, the United States military has transitioned to an all-volunteer force. And the fact that our nation's military is an all-volunteer force speaks volumes about those who chose to serve. Our veterans, soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen, and now veterans of the Space Force, are a special breed and certainly worthy of our nation's gratitude. But more than the numbers, America's veterans are heroes. Veterans represent every race, every color, every creed, every religion, from every state and every territory. Our veterans are the diversity that is the very foundation of America. America's veterans all swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And our veterans take great pride in this. The Constitution is the basis of what makes America great. It guarantees life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It guarantees freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and many more rights and protections for all Americans established in the Bill of Rights. And it's worthy of defending for many American generations to come. Today, it's more important than ever that we say thank you to our veterans. We are the nation we are today because of our veterans' service and their sacrifices and their family sacrifices. It's an honor to be here today on this Veterans Day. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
As a Green School Board member and a veteran of the United States Air Force, I am proud to extend my heartfelt thanks to Colonel Workinger from our Green Local Schools community. You have certainly made your community and your alma mater proud. Green schools in the community of Green have a deep and proud history of military service. Every year at graduation, the seniors who have chosen to serve in the armed forces are asked to stand and be recognized. As an alum, veteran, and a school board member, it is always a proud moment. Having moved to Green when I was 4, this community had a heavy influence on me. I saw neighbors helping neighbors, families growing up alongside other families, new kids being welcomed into the neighborhood, and kids making friends as they started a new school year. During my 14 years on active duty, each time my wife Karen and I moved to a different base, we were always amazed at the hospitality and genuine kindness of our new neighbors. Only then did I realize these were the same traits of the community where I grew up. The military trains you to do your job and to rely on the person next to you to do theirs. If everyone does their job to the best of their ability, the probability of success is very high. You also learn that the mission comes first, and at times you will be required to leave your family in order to successfully accomplish the task at hand. Over the multiple deployments, missed birthdays, and holidays, each time I returned home, I couldn't thank my neighbors enough for taking care of my family while I was away. They treated us like we were part of their family. When I asked my neighbor about it, I'll never forget his response. He said, "Son, while you're here serving our country, we're your family." More times than I can recall, I've seen our community rise to the occasion to help those in need, whether it's organizing a meal chain, taking neighbors' kids to practice, or just being that friendly face or voice or text that lets you know that someone cares. It's what Green people do. One of the Air Force core values is service before self. I feel that our community and schools instill this value in our kids, and we can all take pride in the part that we play. Thank you to all who have served, are serving today, and to those that choose to serve in the future. It's truly a great way of life.
Welcome to the third day of the Witness Tree. As we remember, we are also entering a new day. May this day remind us of new opportunities, choices we will make, and see the possibilities this day holds. The past is behind us, the future is not here. We have today, this moment. Let us not hurry through this day. Pause and allow our soul to catch up with our runaway life. Look back. Do not stare and make the past your teacher, not your master. Learn to forgive.
The first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. The first to forget is the happiest. None of us are able to unring the bell or forget what we have rung. We cross the Rubicon. Forgiveness means abandoning any hope of a better past. Not forgiving holds us hostage to past actions and regrets. We will never forget, so let us learn wisdom. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote, "The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen.
Each year we close our Veterans Day ceremony by greeting our veterans and thanking them individually. Since we cannot look our heroes in the eyes, extend a hand, or share an embrace, we will close our ceremony this year with photos of veterans submitted by their friends and families. Happy Veterans Day.